The call came on a Tuesday evening, just 3 weeks shy of Christmas. "Rachel, sweetheart, we need to talk about the holidays." I was at my home office, reviewing Q4 financial projections, but the moment I heard Mom's voice, soft, careful, and ominously gentle, I shut my laptop. "What is it?" I asked. "Nothing's wrong, exactly. It's just that your cousin Jessica is hosting Christmas at her new house this year, and Michael has some concerns." I stayed silent. Sometimes silence works better than questions. "He's worried," Mom continued. "Michael's VP at Westfield Analytics, very accomplished, and he thinks having you there might create a tense situation." "Tense situation?" I repeated, letting the words linger. "He's worried about questions regarding my employment, about why I'm still, in transition." Jessica had apparently suggested it would be easier if I skipped Christmas this year, just this one, until I got back on my feet. I looked at the wall of accolades surrounding me: an MBA from Stanford, a computer science degree from MIT, certifications in data analytics, machine learning, corporate strategy, keynote awards at tech conferences. Back on my feet, I muttered. "Honey, no one's judging," Mom said, her voice tight with diplomacy. "Everyone has rough patches, but Michael comes from a high-achieving family. Jessica just wants to avoid any awkward questions. Transitional phase, that's their polite way of saying it." "I understand," I said calmly. "Please tell Jessica I hope she enjoys a wonderful Christmas." "You're not upset?" Mom sounded relieved. "No, Mom. Not at all." "Good. Maybe we'll do something together soon. New Year's, perhaps." "Maybe," I replied, carefully neutral. I hung up and sat in the dim light of my office, the cityscape glittering below. My penthouse apartment had floor-to-ceiling windows, a view worth more than most people earn in a year. But my family had never visited. They still imagined me living in that tiny studio I'd rented 7 years ago. In their eyes, nothing had changed. Jessica, the family golden child, was 3 years older, effortlessly beautiful, socially magnetic, married at 26 to Michael Chen, VP at Westfield Analytics, heir to a mix of old money and earned success. Their life was a curated Instagram-perfect existence: restored Victorian home, matching cars, elegant vacations. I was the enigma, the smart but aimless one. I'd attended MIT on scholarship while Jessica went to a state school funded by Dad. I spent nights coding, she spent hers at sorority parties. Post-graduation, Jessica started a marketing job at a mid-sized firm, moved home, climbed steadily, while I took a junior analyst role at a small startup for $58,000 a year, long hours, little pay, immense learning. At family gatherings, Mom explained, apologetically, "Rachel's at a small computer firm. Very entrepreneurial." Meanwhile, Jessica racked up promotions, engagements, accolades, success they could see, define, and applaud. What they didn't know, 2 years into my analyst job, I'd discovered a huge market gap. Companies were drowning in data but lacked insight-driven strategies. Reports piled up, unused. I began consulting on the side, one client turning into 5 into 20. Soon, I pitched to venture capitalists who understood my vision. Data Bridge Analytics launched 4 years ago. I hold 68%. Year 1, $3.2 million revenue. Year 2, $12 million. Year 3, $43 million. This year, projected $120 million. Offices in 4 cities, 237 employees, contracts with 17 Fortune 500 firms. Yet, my family still imagined I was finding my way. I maintained 2 lives meticulously. When visiting family, I drove a 7-year-old Honda, wore Target clothes, spoke vaguely about consulting. My family never pressed. They had already decided my narrative, and challenging it was exhausting. The Christmas irony was delicious. Just 3 months earlier, my M&A lead, Catherine Santos, had flagged Westfield Analytics as a prime acquisition target. A firm with solid reputation but stagnant tech, their best talent leaving, growth plateaued, the perfect candidate for our expertise. The acquisition meeting was set for December 23. Michael Chen, Jessica's husband, the one who deemed me a holiday risk, would lead the Westfield team. He had no clue he was about to negotiate with the very cousin he thought was still figuring things out. Wednesday morning, Catherine knocked. "Boss, while reviewing Westfield's team, I noticed something." "What?" I asked. "Michael Chen's wife is Jessica Porter, your cousin." I smiled faintly. "Yes. Same Jessica." Catherine paused, recalling last week's conversation about Christmas. Then her grin widened. "This will be spectacular." "It's business," I said evenly. "Family ties won't influence the negotiation. Performance will dictate the outcome." "Of course," she said, clearly thrilled. "Prepare thoroughly," I added. "Full team, financials, tech demo. I want them to see exactly what they're becoming part of." December 23 was crisp and clear. I wore a tailored charcoal suit, silk blouse, modest heels, my hair in a sleek bun, and the Patek Philippe my board had gifted at the $100 million milestone. I looked every inch a CEO who had built something real. Our executive team assembled: CFO Thomas Wright, CTO Linda Okoye, General Counsel James Morrison, Catherine leading M&A strategy. Portfolio folders, crystal glasses, coffee steaming, screens displaying Data Bridge Analytics branding. "Westfield's team is in the lobby," my assistant announced. "Send them up in 2 minutes," I said. I addressed the team. "Remember, this is an acquisition, not a takeover. Professionalism, respect, firmness. Watch Michael Chen closely, he's my cousin's husband." Catherine grinned. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." At 10 a.m., the doors opened. Michael Chen entered first, expensive suit, confident gait, self-assured presence. 4 colleagues followed, briefcases and tablets in hand. His eyes scanned the room, landing past Thomas, past our executive line. Past Linda, past James, past Catherine, his gaze finally landed on me at the head of the table. His briefcase clattered to the floor with a heavy thunk. "Hello, Michael," I said evenly. "Thanks for coming. Please, have a seat." His face cycled through confusion, recognition, disbelief, and finally dawning horror as he realized the situation. "Rachel," he began weakly. "It's Miss Porter in this context," Catherine interjected smoothly. "Welcome to Data Bridge Analytics. I'm Catherine Santos, Head of Mergers and Acquisitions. We've spoken on the phone." His colleagues looked on, puzzled by his reaction. A woman in her 40s stepped forward. "I'm Susan Martinez, CFO of Westfield. Delighted to be here. Please, sit." I gestured to the chairs across from us. "We have a lot to cover today." Michael froze. His colleagues exchanged glances but moved to their seats. Michael mechanically bent to retrieve his briefcase and sat down, eyes locked on me. "Let's start with introductions," I said. "I'm Rachel Porter, CEO and founder of Data Bridge Analytics. To my left, Thomas Wright, our CFO, Linda Okoye, CTO, James Morrison, General Counsel, and Catherine Santos, who's leading this acquisition." I turned to Michael. "Would you like to introduce your team?" He opened his mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. "Yes. I'm Michael Chen, VP of Operations at Westfield Analytics." "We're aware," Catherine said politely. "Your reputation precedes you." Michael's face turned red. Susan stepped in to introduce the rest of the Westfield team. Throughout, Michael remained stiff, knuckles pale against the table. "Excellent," I said when introductions concluded. "Thomas, walk us through the financial structure of the proposed acquisition." For the next hour, we laid out the offer. Thomas explained the all-cash $180 million deal with performance-based bonuses for smooth integration. Linda demonstrated our AI-driven analytics platform, showing how it would modernize Westfield's existing systems without replacing their client relationships or expertise. Catherine outlined the integration timeline, James explained the legal framework. All the while, Michael stayed silent. His colleagues asked thoughtful questions and took notes, clearly impressed, but Michael said nothing. Finally, Susan looked to him. Michael, you've been quiet. As our operations expert, what are your thoughts on the timeline? Michael cleared his throat. It seems aggressive. Aggressive? Linda repeated. We've integrated 11 companies in 3 years. Our average is 8 months. We're proposing 12 months for Westfield, a conservative estimate given your size. But your systems are complex, he said. We can't replace everything. We're not replacing, Linda said calmly. We're enhancing and modernizing. Your team stays. Your clients stay. We provide tools to make you more effective. And if clients resist, he pressed. Then they fall behind competitors already using better tools, I said quietly. Change isn't optional, Michael. For the first time, he really looked at me. How long have you been doing this? DataBridge has operated for 4 years, I said. But I spent 3 years before that building the foundation, algorithms, client relationships, team. 7 years total. You've been doing this for 7 years, he asked, stunned. Yes. And you never corrected Jessica, never asked, never verified. Susan's eyes widened. Wait, you two know each other? I'm my wife's cousin, Michael said, voice hollow. An uneasy silence settled. Catherine suggested a 15-minute break, and everyone filtered out except Michael and me. Finally, he spoke. Jessica told me you were struggling, working some low-level job. I know what she thinks, I said. Why didn't you correct her? In 7 years of marriage, how often have you asked about my work? He blinked. We've had family conversations. You've explained analytics to me, industry I've worked in longer than you. You've offered career advice based on assumptions, never facts. His face reddened. Last Thanksgiving, you spent 20 minutes explaining analytics companies to me. My clients include 17 Fortune 500 companies. I've spoken at 3 international conferences this year. Forbes, Business Insider, Tech Innovator magazine have profiled my company. Yet you assumed I needed your explanation. I was trying to help, he said defensively. No. You were asserting superiority, I said evenly. There's a difference. He stood and paced. Does Jessica know? No. Will you tell her? That depends. And the reason I'm uninvited from Christmas? I pressed. He turned sharply. Last Tuesday, my mother called. She said, you were concerned my presence might create an uncomfortable dynamic. Exactly, I said. You excluded me to protect your image. He rubbed his face. If I'd known. You've treated me differently based on assumptions about image, not reality, I said. That's not true. Really? What about the junior analyst on your team, name? Sarah, something. You don't know her last name. Yet you know your boss's wife's name, kids' names, those who elevate your status matter to you. His posture faltered. We reviewed HR records for diligence. Exactly, I said. You have a 34% turnover rate. Industry average is 18%. Complaints cite dismissive leadership. Technically competent, but a poor leader. He slumped. Will you fire me? That depends, I said. The acquisition moves forward regardless. Your role depends on your ability to adapt. I slid a folder across the table. This is a leadership development plan. 6 months with our head of people operations. Learn team building, talent development, creating a culture people want to stay in. Prove growth, and you become a senior director. Fail or opt out, 6 months severance and professional references. He stared at the folder, stunned. Why offer this? Practicality, I said. You have skills, client relationships. Technical knowledge is solid. Leadership is fixable if you commit. And Christmas? He asked bitterly. Separate. Business is business. Family is family. But Jessica may ask why her husband works for the cousin she assumed was struggling. He let out a bitter laugh. Nightmare. Or an opportunity, I said. Learn, grow, become the leader you think you already are. He opened the folder. At 11:45, the meeting resumed. Michael was professional, engaged, cautious. His team asked smart questions. By 1:30 p.m., we reached a tentative agreement pending Westfield board approval. As the Westfield team packed up, Susan pulled me aside. Miss Porter, may I speak privately? In my office, she closed the door. I need to apologize. 8 years at Westfield, I should have seen the issues in Michael's management, high turnover, complaints, but he, adept at managing upwards, impressing the board, delivering flawless presentations, and closing deals. I hadn't paid enough attention to what was happening on the ground with his actual team. That's honest, I said. If this acquisition goes through, I want to help fix things. I want to understand your systems, learn your culture, ensure the transition is smooth, and make sure Michael either adapts or moves on. Westfield deserves better. Our team deserves better. I studied Susan. She looked worn around the eyes but sincere and grounded in her conviction. Susan, you'll thrive at Data Bridge, I said. We value people who can admit mistakes and commit to growth. Her relief was visible as she smiled. Thank you. And for what it's worth, despite all the family drama, what you've built is incredible. Jessica should be proud. She'll find out soon enough, I said. That'll be an interesting conversation. Once the Westfield team left, my executive team gathered in my office for a post-meeting debrief. That was one of the tensest professional meetings I've ever attended, Thomas said. And I've been to some real doozies. Michael's shell-shocked, Linda added. He's going to need serious coaching to survive here. Are we really giving him 6 months? Catherine asked. Or is that just a polite way of ushering him out? I meant it, I replied. If he can adapt, he stays. Our projections assume most of Westfield's leadership will remain, but he has to earn it. And the family fallout? James asked cautiously. That's going to explode, I said plainly. Probably Christmas Eve when Michael has to tell Jessica why I'm skipping dinner. But that's not a business problem, it's a personal one I'll handle myself. Catherine chuckled. You really know how to understate things, boss. By 6 o'clock, I left the office, returning to my penthouse. I poured a glass of wine and watched the city glitter with holiday lights, decorated windows, Christmas trees, the chaos of last-minute shoppers. My phone buzzed. A message from Michael, I told Jessica. She wants to talk to you. Sorry. Before I could respond, it rang. Jessica. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Hello, Jessica. Rachel. What the hell? Her voice was high-pitched and urgent. Michael just told me, you're the CEO of a company. You're acquiring his firm. You've been rich this whole time. I'm not secretly rich, I said calmly. I built a company. Openly. You just never asked. Never asked? Rachel, you let us think you were struggling. Mom worried. Family dinners, you drove that old car, wore Target clothes. The car runs fine, I said. And Target is fine. That's not the point. You lied to us. I didn't lie, I said firmly. You assumed. I didn't correct you. There's a difference. Why wouldn't you correct us? Because you never cared enough to ask the truth. I cut in. In 7 years, you never once asked about my work. Not once. You talked about your job, your house, vacations, Michael's success, but never mine, because you assumed I was struggling. We didn't want to show off. No, you didn't want to acknowledge me as an equal. Exactly. It was easier for you to see me as the family project, the one who hadn't figured it out yet. Your success looked better by comparison. That's unfair. Jessica, you and Michael excluded me from Christmas because having me there could create an uncomfortable dynamic, because my life might reflect poorly on you. Do you understand how that felt? She paused. Michael said you were some consultant. I didn't know you'd be. Embarrassing. I run a $120 million company, I said. 237 employees. Profiled in 3 national business magazines this year. And that's embarrassing? I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You assumed I was less than. And it's fine. People reveal themselves through choices. You chose to exclude me based on assumptions you never checked. So, what happens now? Her voice softened. Business-wise, Michael will work for my company if he adapts. If not, he receives a generous severance. Family-wise, that depends on whether you can see me as more than a liability. Mom is going to freak, Jessica said. I reminded her she'd survived the truth about my success. Will you come to Christmas? She asked. Please, I said. Michael feels guilty. I feel guilty. We want to make this right. I hesitated, recalling our childhood, building forts, her braiding my hair, summers before status and appearances mattered. I'll think about it, I said. I'll decide tomorrow. Okay. I'm sorry. Really. I know. Sorry isn't enough, but it's a start. What would be enough? I don't know yet. I'll figure it out. I hung up. Minutes later, the family phone tree activated, Mom, Dad, Uncle Frank, Aunt Marie, but I ignored them. Work awaited, acquisitions, reports, presentations. There was always work. Around 11 p.m., a knock at my private elevator door. Only 3 people had access. Catherine appeared, holding 2 bottles of wine and Thai takeout. Thought you could use backup, she said. We sat at my marble dining table, eating pad Thai, sipping wine, sharing stories of family reactions when she revealed her success. My brother called me a liar, she laughed. 2 years for him to accept I wasn't hiding things to make him look bad. Do you regret hiding it? I asked. Sometimes, but mostly no. I built something real without their judgment. By the time they noticed, it didn't matter anymore. Worth the secrecy. That's how I feel, I said. Protecting something precious by keeping it separate. You did, Catherine said firmly. You built on your terms. That's powerful. By 1 a.m., Catherine left. I stood at the windows, the city asleep below. My phone buzzed, a message from Michael, I'll do the leadership training. I'll apologize properly to everyone. Starting with you. Truly sorry. I replied, see you after the holidays. We have a company to build. Another message appeared, unknown number. Hi Aunt Rachel. I'm Sophie. I'm 12. Mom says you own a company with computers. That's so cool. Can you teach me sometime? Sophie, Jessica and Michael's daughter. I'd seen her at family events, always in passing. I'd love to teach you. After the holidays, I'll show you how I built my company. 3 dots appeared. Yes. Mom says you're really successful and I think that's awesome. None of my friends have a CEO aunt. I smiled. I'll coordinate with your mom tomorrow. Sleep well, Sophie. You too. Merry Christmas. On Christmas Eve, I called Jessica. I'll come to dinner, on 3 conditions. Anything, she said. 1. No performative apologies, no theatrics. We behave like adults. Agreed. 2. Michael and I maintain professional boundaries. Business stays at the office. Family stays at home. Understood. 3. I'm bringing Sophie a gift, a laptop with coding software. I'll start teaching her programming. Jessica laughed. She'll lose it. She's been talking about you non-stop. Good. See you tomorrow at 6. Rachel, thank you for another chance. I'm not doing it for you, I said. I'm doing it for Sophie and the kid version of us building forts. But you must see me for who I am, not who you assumed I was. I'll try, she said. That's all I need. Christmas Day arrived with snow. I dressed carefully, elegant but understated. Jeans, cashmere sweater, stylish boots. I drove the Tesla, not the Honda. This was honest. Arriving at Jessica's Victorian, I carried a laptop under one arm, fine wine in the other. Jessica opened the door. Warm lights, roasting turkey, family chatter. Hi, she said awkwardly. We paused, then shared a genuine hug. I'm glad you came, she whispered. Me too, I said. Sophie ran down the stairs, eyes wide. I realized, I wasn't the cousin excluded 2 weeks ago. I was Rachel Porter, CEO, accomplished, worthy, and an aunt who could show a 12-year-old her potential wasn't defined by assumptions. And that felt like the greatest Christmas gift of all.